Hi everyone, I'm Vandana Verma, and today I'll be sharing my perspective around predictions in cybersecurity for 2022. We've been seeing a lot of change in cybersecurity industry and in the whole landscape, where cybersecurity is becoming very important for the organizations. We've seen a lot of incidents which are happening in the past, especially if I talk about when 2020 was about to end, we saw supply chain attacks. So the first thing would be we need to concentrate on these supply chain attacks, and we need to start using SBOMs, which is software bill of materials, and understand what we have in our environment. And especially being from a software security industry, I would say, or I would highly recommend to use SBOMs and understand what is our appetite, what do we really need, and attacks are imminent. They're going to happen. They're going to be there. But what more we can do to be more proactive? That's going to be the first thing. Then we talk about cloud. Cloud security is another big thing, which needs attention very much. We've been knowing about configuration issues for a very long time, but still these issues are creeping up. Those small holes are creating big issue for the organizations. Now, while we talk about cloud security, there's another thing which caters to, again, DevOps, DevSecOps, and rigorous testing. That's called chaos engineering. That is very much needed when we talk about the whole maturity of an organization, maturity of a software security of an organization. At the same time, while we are taking care of chaos engineering, cyber threat intel plays a very big role in the whole cybersecurity landscape. We started creating SOC models, which is a security operations center to manage our SOC or the incidents. But then there is new threats which are coming up every day, every minute, every second. And we need the intel about them. We need to manage our own ecosystem to understand what do we have in our environment. We might see that there is an attacker who've been in the system for 4 months, for 6 months, for 1 year. We have cases, right? We have breaches. We've heard about those breaches wherein the attacker has been there for like 2 years. Now, while we talk about that, we need to start adopting artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms, because we see a lot of rise in the ransomwares. So it is very much important to understand how the behavior changes, how fast the behavior changes, and especially from a cognitive perspective, it is needed. And we need to educate our workforce at the same time. But we can't totally rely on the workforce, because sometimes we need these cognitive efforts to bring up the different technologies, and they tie up really well. And that also leads to a point where people have started to talk about zero trust. So it ties very beautifully with zero trust, where you don't need to trust anyone, and at the same time you're verifying everyone. And the most important aspect, but not the last one, is understanding the third party vendors. Now, why do I say that? The recent incident with Log4j or Log4Shell, where it is a logging platform which is seen to be vulnerable. Now, when that happens, that brings us to a point wherein we need to understand, we need to keep a track of all things that we have, because everyone was going crazy when this happened. Everyone was just talking about Log4j. Let's get me some data. Let's get me details. And every now and then there is new bug that is coming up, right? So when around it is coming, it is important to understand how it is impacting us. And another thing is that these privacy regulations are becoming a big concern. So understand where data is flowing, what data is flowing. The last point from my side would be to understand more about open source security. If I'm using open source security, how much do I know about it? I'll tell you a very recent case, Joe, which happened on in January itself, while I was talking about Caller and Faker. These two libraries, maintainers pulled the plug. Why? Because they couldn't maintain it. They needed revenue. So that's fine. They need support from the organization. They need support from the community. No two people or no one person can go ahead and maintain everything for a very long time. They need some efforts. They need some revenues. Now, it brings us to a point that how organizations can tackle it. It is very important to understand that. So be very cautious about it. Thank you.